Life's a beautiful mess. From trials and faith, marriage, parenting, and all the random moments that make us laugh. This is Tripping Over Grace with Trey and Jess, where real life meets real faith and a few laughs along the way.
Welcome, guys, to this episode of Tripping Over Grace.
Hey guys, how's it going?
So today we are going to be talking over something that's it's rather interesting. Some of our episodes are going to be just the conversation back and forth with Jess and I, and this one's really not that much different, but it is going to be. She's got a lot of notes today. So it's over a very specific topic that's been kind of near and dear to her recently. It's something that we face on a regular basis, but we also just want to say that, future episodes you're going to see, we're going to invite other couples in here to talk about marriage and parenting. We have our daughter in one episode as well that she's joined us for a topic on identity as a teen, and now she's in her 20s for that matter. But anyways, so today we're just going to just jump into it. But this is on what I would say, what the cultural woman, what that identity, talk about identity, what that identity looks like. What the culture is talking about, the way, Jess has experienced it. And we'll just kind of jump from there. So let's start just back from the very beginning of, part of your testimony.
Right.
And how that kind of came into this topic today.
Well, one of the biggest pieces of my testimony is that my dad died when I was young. I was 8 or almost 8, and then my stepdad was not really fully present and active as an authority in my life until I was late teens. And so there was this giant window of time that my mom loved us fiercely. She was a protector and, stayed home with us and et cetera. But not having a father in my life created a distortion of how I saw the world and I didn't fully understand how much. I knew it did, but I didn't fully understand how much until I got married and began to see the conflict that was created because of that. But at the time, I was very defensive. I fought very hard against the things that he would point out to me because I was convinced that he was just critiquing. He was just attacking. He was just whatever. And there was I have a long list of things that I accused him of, not understanding how much of distortion that I had. And as I've started studying it and unpacking it, etc., I'm realizing there's some really key points to who I was, what I was, how I responded, all of this stuff. And the biggest thing is that I created chaos. I created chaos in everything that I did. And I didn't understand what type of woman creates chaos. I didn't understand who was this person that every single time we talked, every single time you would challenge me with something, every single time the kids would do something and I wouldn't address it, every single time that I would go and say I could be out, however late and not communicate, whatever. It was this really prideful, etc. But it's realizing that there were some very specific things, because then when you would say something to me, I would immediately defend myself. I would immediately, well, that's not what I was trying to do, or that's not what I was wanting to do.
Thinking of critiquing.
Yeah, 100% added to critique.
Not asking you to make a healthy change, but that it's an actual critique.
Yeah, no, exactly. It wasn't receiving it as, hey, we're in a relationship and we communicate with each other and this is how we talk and make sure that we're on the same page, etc. It was an immediate response of okay, no, I can't say I'm sorry because I'm not wrong. I can't take correction because you're criticizing me. I couldn't admit to fault because everything that I would do, I would twist it. I would twist the truth. I would twist what you would say. Well, but that means you're saying, and you would say, hey, can you call me at this time or whatever? Just communicate. Well, you're trying to control me. I immediately took it to the jump to some sort of worst case scenario. You're trying to do this to me. You're trying to do it. That's not what you were trying to do. You were just trying to make sure I was safe. As a man who loves me and wants to make sure that I'm, that at 11 o'clock at night, hey, shoot me a text to make sure that, hey, when you're on your way home, let me know. That was it. That was all you were trying to do.
Say as a spouse, some of the key words that I heard over and over again that started me realizing the pattern is when they say the word critique
Mm-hmm.
or controlling
Yep.
or that they don't understand things, which means don't understand things spiritually, that you might say.
Yeah.
When you keep hearing those things over and over again,
Mm-hmm.
it really is rooted in a kind of worldly
Yeah. Well, you
mindset.
immediately see a flag. You immediately see, like, she doesn't want to actually hear what I have to say. She just wants to defend herself. She wants to just protect her thought process, not actually engage in a dialogue,
Right.
not engage in any sort type of like healthy, we're going to move forward somehow together in that. Um, Feelings over facts all day long, like that. Like there was never a point of like, oh yeah, okay, let's have a dialogue. It was like, oh my gosh, how could you say that to me? Why would you make me feel that way? And why would you, like, you were like, we were just, you'd like, I remember some of the facial expressions. You were just like, I didn't say that. And
Well, you would share a lot often. I remember during those times you'd share about how everything is attached emotionally.
oh yeah, 100% it
Everything is
was.
that much more compounded because of the emotions
Yes,
tied to
yes,
it. And
everything.
emotions are tied to everything
Hmm.
according to you at that time.
Yep.
How have you seen that differently?
Well, because I've been able to understand that when we would talk and I would remove the emotion, like there's no emotion to be had. Like we're just talking about cutting up slices of apples and how, like, okay, hey, just move your finger so you don't chop your finger off. That's all you were trying to do. You're just trying to protect my fingers. You weren't trying to like tell me how to chop things and tell me that I was, this horrible person because
Right.
I got my finger in the way. You were just trying to protect my finger. Like it,
Right.
how many times over and over there was big, little tiny things would become these giant things because I would immediately apply emotion. I would immediately apply some sort of twisted truth to it. You were always the problem. I was never the problem. Always. In every scenario, you were somehow the bad guy and I wasn't. And you always called it the monster mentality because I would make it into you were this monster, and it was this monster narrative all the time of
Yeah.
you were always trying to control me, you were always trying to tell me these things, and I couldn't see how much chaos I was creating. I couldn't see how, like I said, like it was
And
you
for
would.
me, I mean, my heart was not to be that
Yeah,
monster.
no.
I wanted to love you and
Yeah.
to be there. But the
Yeah.
problem is that when you have this push
Yeah.
mindset,
Yeah.
it gets me to the point where I start getting more frustrated
Yeah.
and more
Yep.
angry. And then there's times where I mean, I would just say, if you're going to make me the monster, don't be surprised when the monster,
Yeah. But there's a response.
reveals
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah.
But I hated that because I
No.
know that it wasn't right.
No.
But
No.
I didn't in my maturity know how to handle
Yeah. Well, the
handle it.
example that you used often was the BBs. Like it was me sitting over here doing this. Well, for a long time, someone poking you in the arm,
Yeah.
like somebody poking you in the arm over and over and over again,
You
is
can handle it for a while.
yeah. For a while, it's no big deal,
Yeah.
but eventually, in that one spot, you get a bruise, and it
Yeah.
starts to hurt, and it aches, and you just immediately want to like fight it off, like
The more
just
sensitive or tender it
yes.
gets.
Then you get it, and it becomes a knee jerk reaction, not out of true like anger and whatever, but it's more just out of like, please stop. Like that
Right,
hurts,
right.
that kind of response. And now understanding that now, like I can understand completely how at a certain point you would just get to the point where you couldn't, like, please stop, like just stop. Like if you would just stop for a second, like, and I could see the intensity from it because of the repetition. And that understanding, like accountability for me was an attack. You trying to hold me accountable was an attack. Like I could not see very clear lines of it's okay for you to say to me that, hey, we shouldn't spend money on this. That maybe was not the best purchase. Or, hey, like our kids need to be disciplined in this area. Or those are things that as partners, we are supposed to communicate about. We're supposed to say, hey, these are the weird places we're going to spend our money. These are the places we're going to defend or discipline our children. These are
And
the
for like
things.
money, it's not about, holding you accountable because you're, this little girl who can't
No,
control
no,
herself.
no.
It's just more the fact like the
We got to
the
pay the
connection for
bills.
me is I've got to pay the bills.
Yeah.
One of us got to pay the
Yeah.
bills,
Exactly.
and we've got to make the money stretch
Yeah.
through the month.
Yeah.
And so that's all my heart was going to. So when I'm holding
Right.
you accountable,
Yeah.
it's connected to that, not to,
Yeah.
it's also needing, because even at my age, needing you to hold me accountable
Yeah.
to make sure that I'm not spending money
100%
so that we're doing
on,
it the right
yeah,
way.
that we're making wise
Yeah.
decisions and holding each other accountable to that. And
Yeah.
that was a bad word. It was an attack. It was, something wrong with me. Again, I put so much identity and victimhood into everything that you would say to me, whatever. It was always refusing to admit that I was the common denominator, that I was the reason we were having the conversation was because I was not choosing to change. I was not choosing to admit, like, oh, hey, yeah, you know what? I did that again. I'm so sorry. I should not have said that. I should not have said, like, I'm finding how easy, like, in the spirit of God, how easy it is for me when you would challenge, yep, it was today you said something of like, hey, you said it like this. And I was like, yeah, I did. You're right. That was easy. Like, it was easy to say that because it was like, no, yeah, I was wrong. I shouldn't have said it that way, or I shouldn't have whatever. And because when we're walking in the spirit, it's like we're able to identify, like, hey, this is truth. There's no emotion that has to be attached to it. It's like, let's just address it as, what is this issue? I couldn't see that. Again, all of this is wrapped
Yeah.
up in not having someone teach me this at a young age. Looking at our daughters and watching them navigate with you. I can't tell you how many times I would listen in on conversation and just be like, I have never heard that before. Like, I've never heard someone say that about that situation. Or how many times I would listen to you teaching the children and I would learn something because it was so outside of my experience of fatherhood, because it just didn't exist for me. And so when you would say stuff, I would learn, like, oh yeah, no, that's a good idea. I shouldn't do that. Like, those kind of, like, and a lot of it came from you diving into the Word of God and seeking His wisdom all the time. That was your heart and soul from the minute you came to know Christ. It was black and white for you. You knew why you shouldn't do this. You knew why these things, and they become very much we're going to do this because I know for sure that this works.
And the reality is, it wasn't that I was trying to. I mean, it is about me following God, but it wasn't about me following God for the sake of trying to like grab you guys and say, "Come follow me."
No,
It
no.
was the fact that I knew that because of who I was prior to
Yeah.
Christ, I know how bad of a person I can be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I like hung so deeply to Christ
Yeah.
because I wanted to love you and love our
Absolutely.
kids.
Yep.
And to me, that was the only way I could do it, was hold as firmly to the word as possible.
Yeah.
But then it kind of came across a little bit early on.
Right.
It almost felt like I was like have such a huge expectation of you
Mm-hmm.
that you had to follow everything.
Yeah.
In my heart, it's
Yeah.
a matter of just trying to protect our family.
Yep. Yep.
To
The
the
whole
more
time.
the more we're aligned with God's word.
Yeah.
But where you were at in the trauma or whatever you were
Yeah.
facing at the
Yeah.
time,
Mm-hmm.
that felt like, man, that's very restrictive.
Yep. Yep. I felt
And
like it
so
was
it's like, well, if that's the way it looks, I don't want a part of it.
that was the constant battle, was
Yeah.
feeling like it was a trap. I didn't want to take responsibility. And so, and I love this phrase that I read. It was this: you don't take responsibility, you rewrite history. That everything I would do would be to try to convince you to, but that's not what I said, or well, that's not what I meant, or that's not what I was thinking, or that was not, like, I would just like twist it up in this just enough to be like, to make you feel like you were going crazy, to feel like I was making you I, that I constantly making you feel like, wait, okay, I know I said this, like, I know I like, and the whole point of manipulation was I was rewriting it, and just enough to make you believe this, to make,
And
and
that is what created even more trauma,
yep,
because what
yep,
happens is the first several years, I felt like I could still maneuver through this with you.
mm-hmm,
It's when I started to actually doubt myself,
yep,
doubt
oh,
what I've read in
100%,
the Word,
yeah,
and I began to, maybe I am
yeah,
this
no,
person.
I saw you
Maybe
sink,
I
yeah,
am. And I began to sink.
yep,
And it took several years
yeah,
before I began to realize, wait, no,
right,
no. I'm going to stand on what I know,
yep,
what I've experienced, what I believe,
yep,
and I'm going to start maneuvering with her,
mhm,
even though in a lot of things you were doing
yeah,
hadn't changed.
yeah.
I had to get to the point where I had to get back up on out of the water, back
Yeah,
onto
the proverbial horse or whatever.
well, no, get back out of the water onto a horse. No, to get out of the water onto the rock or onto something,
Yes.
firm
Yes,
foundation.
firm foundation. There you go.
and then kind of ride out the storm from there.
Right.
But
Right.
but then I was able to start communicating differently
Yeah,
because now it was able to understand. Listen, I know who I am.
you did.
I
Yeah.
love you
Yep.
regardless of it all.
Yep.
But these are things I don't like.
Mm-hmm.
And also to say, like, I know who I am. Like when here we're throwing hand grenades back and forth.
Yep.
Okay, really is once the cloud and the dust settles,
Mm-hmm.
I had shared with you over and over again, like, then we'll see who's throwing the hand grenades.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, is that as you begin to experience that,
Yeah.
every time you'd stop throwing the hand grenade,
Mm-hmm.
the dust settles.
Dust settles and nobody's throwing hand grenades anymore.
And
All of
then
a
I think that
sudden.
was kind of a turn for you,
Yep. Yep.
is that
Yep.
you began to see that I'm not really throwing hand grenades
No,
at you.
I knew really. It was very black and white for me when Holy Spirit showed me very clearly. You've not been doing these things. Like I can go down through these things and communicate this stuff and very clearly go back and go, you weren't you weren't the monster. You weren't the narrative that I created in my head. You weren't all of these things because you desperately loved God and desperately. Now, did you have sin in it? For sure.
Yeah,
I'm not there's
of
that's
course.
not dismissing the sin. I am able to confidently say though that you were fighting for our family in what the tools that you had available to you and the things that you knew how to do. Now, and
You were
again,
lacking.
yeah, well, but
Going back to a term you
for
used
sure.
earlier.
For sure, you were lacking in things. But again, then I took your weaknesses and I weaponized them. I weaponized emotion
Yeah.
to and resisted growth and resisted truth and resisted any type of like, hey, we should change. And I just immediately made you feel bad about it. Made you feel like, no, you should feel bad for wanting softer things. You should feel bad for being emotional about this. You should feel like whatever it was that I could do to twist it. Whether one you were being standing up and fighting and oh, see, look, there's your sin. Or if you were being soft and tender, oh, you're being weak and soft and wired. Like there was no winning for you.
Yeah.
There was no winning because either way you took, it was somehow I was going to weaponize it against you in some capacity. And I think as women, we're taught in our culture it's because men are bad. Like it's just this narrative. Men are bad. Men are going to hurt you. They're going to now the downside and struggle that you were working against in me was that I came into our marriage deciding to keep you at arm's length at it like this because I was convinced you were going to die. Like that death was
Because of the trauma of your
because of
dad
my
passing
dad
away.
dying. My dad died at 31. My
Yeah.
mom had 3 small children. I had this thought in my head that if I get close to you, you're going to die on me. And that was this. And my grandpa had just died, who was my other strong masculine role in my life up to that point. And he had just passed away the year that we met.
Mhm.
And again, that just brought all that back up.
Yeah.
So as we go into marriage, you're already got this working against you.
Yeah.
That I'm not going to let you get
You're
close.
not used to authority.
Yep. I'm not
You're
used to
not-
authority.
You don't want to get too close to men.
Don't want to
because-
get close for
Right.
whatever reason because of other trauma.
Yeah.
And throw in that you're going to die anyway, so I'm just going to keep you at arm's length and we're just going to survive this and it'll be fine. Like it was such a messed up like way of thinking and I my heart breaks for that for both that young man and that young woman that were in that place of going I was so broken. I was so like so much trauma, so
Well, and
much
so how
hurt,
God
and
uses
so
all
much.
things is obviously, um, just the things that, you and I both bring to our marriage.
Yeah.
That God has given me strengths and you strengths to
Yeah.
help each other in different ways.
Yeah.
But I want to go to the point of where it began to make sense for you just by even watching, like understanding me by understanding your boys.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
And we don't have tons of time.
We don't have a lot of
but,
time, but let
um,
me try to convey to you the the biggest piece, honestly. Obviously, my oldest son is this tender-hearted, soft-spoken young man who reminds me of my dad every single day. Um, and not only does he look like my dad and like acts like he has this heart that loves Jesus passionately, and that's who my dad was. And in the things, I mean, he would bring people home all the time from work or whatever, of saying like, hey, this guy needs to know Jesus, we're gonna love him. And that's he was that way. But it was my middle son who is you, literally to a T. I'm gonna cry. I'm trying to try not to. He is you. And so, I mean, over and over and over again, we joke about it, we talk about it. He built like
In
you.
all the
He
good and
lets you
bad
good
ways.
in all the bad ways. He looks like you. I mean, literally, his sense of humor is the same, whatever. But it was God started giving me the contrast of being able to see you as this little kid and what the circumstances that would happen, that would begin to understand if someone treated Caleb this way, how would I respond? If I started lying, if I was lying to him, or if someone had, you know, like had went through the abusive stuff that you went through, how would I respond to that person treating him that way? And I would be angry. And I would be angry. And I started to realize to be angry at myself, to be angry at my own sin, and go, I can't be okay if I'm not okay with somebody treating Caleb this way, I cannot be okay with somebody treating you this way. And that somebody is me. That somebody is my sin, my distortion, my lies. And as my children and my sons got older and started holding me accountable and started saying, hey, mom, you shouldn't say that to dad. Like, that hurts his heart. Like, I mean, it would wreck me because my children broke my heart, opened my heart up to love in a way that I didn't know how to experience before them, because
Yeah.
it wasn't pure. It wasn't true. Like, there was all these, every other thing in my life had an expectation to it. Everything else in my life had some distortion to it or whatever. And having children helped me connect to the world in a way that I hadn't before. And it took time. Each one of my kids changed something different in me.
Mhm.
And let's do
They
that on,
they challenge you.
I know, we need to have a whole podcast on just that,
Yeah,
on
yeah,
how each one of them brought this particular thing
yeah.
to me, and how to sharpen me and challenge me and strip away kind of the BS out of our life and go, oh man, I need to change that. Like, that is not okay. I'm right now, my youngest son, I see myself in many things and going, I can't be okay with that. Need to help him, and I need to change that in myself. He and I talked the other day about my defensiveness, like the being, like I'm talking about, like how I want to defend myself, and and I'm seeing him kind of do some of that and go, hey buddy, let me tell you how much I am wrong when I do that, because this is what it does to me and your dad. When I do this, when I immediately go there, that means I don't want to hear what he has to say.
Mhm.
I'm like, are you okay with that? And having that conversation and dialogue, like, it's changing that, again, most of the time we learn more from them than they learn from us.
Absolutely.
And we say that all the time, but how true it is, even in just something like this, where it's taking it apart and going, me understanding that all of these things that I wanted out of marriage, I wanted the authority without accountability. I wanted to be the boss, but I didn't want to be accountable to anything. I wanted to just get away with, let me do what I want to do. I'm going to tell you how I'm going to do it. This is where I'm going to spend money. It doesn't matter. Even though I'm taking money out of the pot and we need to pay a bill with it, it doesn't matter. Just let me do it. Like, how dismissive we are as women to men in general. And
And I
submission,
and I will just say on that, if you don't mind me
yeah,
stopping,
yeah.
is that it's one of the hardest things, and this is not against Jess. This is just being in the situation that when there's no accountability and you're going through this crazy cycle
Mm-hmm.
of fighting and trying to hold accountable, but or challenging or asking or whatever it might be. But then the spouse doesn't want to have accountability,
Mm-hmm.
going to church and trying to talk to the churches and trying to explain,
Ah,
and trying to get help.
I made it impossible.
It becomes impossible.
Mm-hmm.
For Jess, it was and again, this is nothing
Well,
negative at
let me
all.
let
Like,
me let me kind of describe it.
yeah,
I would go to church, and put on this happy face because that's what I learned to do. When
Yeah.
you have trauma in your life, you go to church, you put on a smile,
You put the polish.
yep, you put the polish on. You don't talk about what's going on at home. You don't
Right.
talk about the bad stuff.
Yeah.
You go to church, you smile, you talk, you engage people. Like, hey, how's it
Yeah.
going? Fine, everything's fine. That's your response. That's what you do. And then you go home and
For
it's going to
someone,
look
and then
totally
yeah,
different at
yeah,
home.
and then for
And
someone who's real, that I
yes,
mean, real in the sense that I don't like to put polish on.
yep.
You go to church and somebody asks how you're doing, and your answer is
Mhm.
you don't want to be dishonest or disingenuous, so you say not so good,
Mhm.
and that makes people feel awkward to begin with. They always expect you to say, "Oh, doing great," and that's just not the case. And then you end up having it where you're having this struggle. You don't know what to say. You don't know what to do. You try to go and work it through. You can't do it here. You try to go to others. You can't work it out through there. It becomes this very lonely and difficult place as a spouse to be in. And so I just want to encourage you guys. Listen, and I want to get very pointed here. Um, Guys, you need to become communicators with your spouse, but communicate with each other. Stop trying to bottle it up. Stop trying to act all, stoic and stuff. Truly, um, it's got to become a place where there's real honesty happening amongst men, real honesty with women.
Mhm.
There needs to be accountability even within the church, where we can go as a believer. And if there's that big of problems, that you need to be able to go and talk to it with other people. And that doesn't mean leave it on the pastor to deal with. Okay. That's a big mistake. Not to say that it's not helpful, but I'm saying that as the body of Christ, we have to be able to help one another and talk it out and be honest and genuine with the difficulties and be able to say the hard things in love. Um, because again, this isn't about putting blame on one person or the other.
No,
This is
no.
about removing the power that Satan might have
Yes.
to destroy a family. And to me, that's more important than to be afraid of saying a word that might be hard. Because my heart in it is not to say something that's going to hurt somebody, but it might hurt somebody saying it, but it helps to bring healing in that family.
Yeah.
So I just share that because it's something that's we see in a lot of families
Oh my
right now
goodness. Yeah. Yeah.
where people don't know where to go, who to talk to. You're not always going to go pay a counselor, and even if you pay a counselor, you don't know what you're getting nowadays.
Well, it breaks my
Um,
heart, and I think part of why we feel so passionately about this is that the church isn't talking about it. There are people that they're not engaging well with it, and it becomes messy because
and I just don't think that they know how,
yeah, yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like
and that's the
it's
difficult part.
literally they don't know. Like I know that we stumbled across many times where people would just not know what to say to us. Like
Yeah,
it wasn't that they didn't want to help us, they just didn't know what to say. And as we've navigated this and had conversation about, we've spent a lot of time talking about it. Like we can talk about this now because we've spent a lot of time. Let me
yeah.
just say that, like hours and hours and years of our life talking about this. And be able to get to a place where we can talk about it, that I don't think that people do. I just don't, because we are communicators. That's just, we
We
are.
are, and it's been helpful to be able to work through that.
Yes.
That's why I say to men,
Yes.
I've heard so many wives say that their husbands don't communicate with them, and it's time.
Mm-hmm.
Men have to be gentle, and we'll talk about that on another podcast. But men, um, be strong in your steadfastness of focusing on the word and of bringing it to the dynamic in your family. But be soft enough in what you're doing, be able to communicate. And for men, that tends to be tough. We're suppressed as young boys to just kind of suck it up and wipe it off and shake it off. And while that's important, yes, there's a dynamic there that is very important.
Yeah.
I'm not about participation awards,
No, no.
but at the same time, like there is a need
Yes.
that men step it up to lead their family and become communicators. It might not be your first gifting, but it needs to become your second at least, because communication is key.
It's
And
the only way. Full stop.
yeah,
It is the only way that you will be able to move forward.
did you always believe that?
No. No, 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 no. And I say that out of someone who
Yeah,
refused to talk, who refused to have conversation about it.
because it was
But
conflict for
because
you.
it was conflict, any
Yeah,
communication was conflict. Anytime we had a conversation, it like even this dialogue would have been hard for me
sure.
because I was exposed.
Yeah,
And one of the other statements that I want to say is the idea of peace removes my power.
yeah,
And that is a really hard
that's
thing for
huge.
women to understand
But what's it
that
give you in
peace,
return?
oh my goodness, it gives us
The
peace.
ability to
It gives us
communicate.
communication. It
Like you
gives
feel
us
freedom to walk into this now.
joy, 100%.
Yeah, yeah.
And peace is something that women say they want, but when they really are confronted with what is required to get there,
Yeah.
they fight against it in every turn. Because to get peace, that means that you have to be willing to humble yourself. It means you have to be willing to listen. It means you have to be willing to admit when you're wrong. It means that you have to be willing to not twist the truth and just receive the truth and be like, oh, nope, that was wrong.
Yeah.
Like all of those things take away um, a woman's power, but the truth is we don't really have power.
So
We
when
don't.
so when
It's
women
manipulation. It is distortion. It is lies. It is literally women lording over a man in an unhealthy way that will destroy any relationship. Period. Full stop. Never. Like you
so
just
when women are
won't.
talking about peace, like
Yeah.
um is it real peace
Nope.
that they seek?
No. 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 No.
It's peace on their
Yep.
terms.
No. It's um they want you to just be quiet. They just want you to like the man, they just want the man to be quiet.
And not to
And
stereotype,
no, no,
but
no.
you're saying there's a good portion of people that
I'm
women
saying that is literally 98% of women. Full disclosure, I don't know a single woman that I don't know that would in
so in your experience,
some
I'm trying to level
way.
it out a little bit.
Well, and
So
I'm not saying that there's not
yeah,
women out there that haven't. I know women who have learned
yeah.
how to navigate it differently, who are not in that place anymore. But that they've taken work to get there. But the Bible tells us that our curse is that we will want to be over our husbands. Like that's literally every woman out there. That's 100% of women. That's not just one or two women or a few. No, that's every one of us will want that. And we will do whatever we can in whatever capacity that looks like. It might even be the quiet ones who use their quiet introvertedness to control the man because they won't talk or they will be sneaky about it or they will, do you know what I'm saying? Like it's going to look different for each woman. Every woman is going to look different in how they do that. But if they don't recognize it that they do that, then it will destroy their every relationship they enter
And
into.
it's interesting. And again,
Friendship,
it,
relationship, any of it,
it
any relationship.
it's
Children,
it's interesting because I'm
I
like
will list
what
all of
I,
these women. I could tell you this
what I'm
is
getting out of this. It's so funny because like to hear you say this
mm-hmm.
in light of a year ago,
Yeah,
2 years ago, three
they're a
years ago,
totally different person.
to walk in that of what you thought you were trying to get peace, because people would say that you were probably more peaceful than me,
Yeah, yeah, because I was more calm.
but I'm going for the peace that is real,
Yep,
that both of us are submitted to God,
yep,
and we find a peace that comes through the Holy Spirit, right?
yep,
Okay,
100%.
it's part of the fruits of the Spirit.
That's it.
And so for you to go from where you were at,
Mm-hmm.
trying to almost manipulating that peace
Yep,
on your terms,
yep.
but it's only peace for you.
It's
It's
not peace
not
for
going to be peace
everybody
for the
else. No,
spouse,
no.
and really not for the kids either.
It's chaos.
It's chaos.
It is 100% chaos. I will say it over and over and over again. That's
I
what
just
we
I
were living in for years. We were living
right.
in chaos, even though it looked like XYZ. We'd go to church. We could pull off. I could pull off being the calm, rational, patient, loving,
Mhm.
whatever. List the things, woman. I could act that way for a certain window of time, but when the push came to shove, who I was behind closed doors, who my children saw, who my husband saw, what the reason why I didn't have a lot of friends was because I pulled away from other people who might call me out on it, who might say this about me. I pulled away from that. I didn't engage in Bible studies for a good chunk of our marriage because I
Right.
knew that going to a Bible study would put me in a place of someone calling me out, that
Yeah.
they would look at me and go, "Well, but what about you, Jess?" And I would have to somehow fudge it over. And that it create, I mean, I'm sitting here thinking about how we as women will create this chaos in all of our relationships. So friendships, we will find a way to manipulate our friends and have them believe certain things about ourselves or whatever. And we don't really want to be authentic with them. We just want to be like, hey, let's go have some fun together. Let's talk about this. Let's gossip together,
Hmm.
whatever. And real authentic relationships are almost impossible for
Hmm.
women unless they're all willing to go. Again, the same way in a relationship as a husband and wife, if our goal is all Christ.
Right.
If we all desire Christ, then we are all willing to hold each other accountable. We're willing to encourage each other.
Everybody's playing by the same set
We're
of,
all playing by the same set of rules.
your board
Exactly.
game. Your board game has
Your board
rules,
game has rules.
and so if
Yes.
everybody follows those rules, you enjoy the time. But
Exactly.
it's it.
Now, I'm talking about in our kids.
Yeah.
What as we manipulate our children. I know of a mom who continually to this day manipulates her grown daughter by her language and how she makes her feel like she's going crazy because
Yeah.
she's like, what? Well, she's not. What? Why? One minute she's saying this, and the next minute she's making me feel bad
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
Like that. As women, we can do that to our children.
Yeah.
We can do it to even as a daughter. We can do it to our family members that like we find a place in our family and that's how we act and we respond that way and we make people feel like they're going crazy because we don't agree in again to the
Now,
same rules.
I have somebody saying right now
Okay.
because of the way that it's all laid out in
Mm-hmm.
our culture.
Okay.
Okay, that and I'm not some small weakling of a guy,
Nope.
so somehow
You're making me say all
I'm
this.
making you say it.
Oh, that's a good point.
You
I
know what
would
I'm
like to.
saying?
Yeah, no. Let's talk about that a little bit.
What I want to say is it's not because of something that you have been manipulated to or something
No.
that you've chosen to just you're still dealing with trauma, so you're just saying that
Right.
what you need to say.
Right.
I want to say that the most important thing for the audience is this truly, if I can give any testimony,
Hmm.
any witness to,
Hmm.
is the complete and utter change in who you are
Mm-hmm.
because of the Holy Spirit,
Yeah. Yeah.
because of God Himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
You look at the person who was blind.
Mm-hmm.
They come to his parents and they're saying to you,
Yeah.
they're addressing the parents on this,
Right.
and then they address him and they say, he goes, all I know is this:
Mhm.
I once was blind,
Yeah.
but now I see.
Yeah. That's it. That's the line.
Who was there?
Yeah.
It was him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To hear about us talking about this and to know the trauma, the difficulties that we hurt each other,
Yeah.
but to be able to go through 23 years of it,
Mm-hmm.
and then all of a sudden he enters the picture,
Mm-hmm.
truly enters the picture.
Right.
And then the change that came after that,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean it's easy.
No.
You're not going to have
No.
change and it just be
No.
like perfect all of a sudden.
No.
We still had to work through things and we still had some doozies of arguments,
Yeah.
but it totally changes
Yeah.
because now how we argue.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah. Well, I want to point out it's interesting if anybody that might say that about this conversation of, oh, she's saying this because, whatever. The funny thing is I am actually the exact opposite in that if it were that he was trying to tell me what to say, I would be fighting every single step of the way. There is no possible way that you're going to tell me what to say because I'm going to say it for myself. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I have this it's been since the day I was born. I'm an oldest daughter, I'm an oldest granddaughter. I'm like I could give you the list of reasons why as a woman, I'm like these are the reasons why I'm not going to let a man be over me. And that's the crazy part is that the more that I learn how to submit to a heavenly Father, that it's easy. It's easy to say, hey, let's be on the same team. Hey, let's go the same direction. We both have this goal in mind. Let's go there together. And it has changed the entire dynamic of my entire life of everything. I don't know how to say it. I love it. I am Paul and him saying, here's my list of good things that I could tell you about myself or all the reasons why I should be a certain way. And it is only because of Christ. It is only because of Christ that I go because there's nothing else that I have. Everything else is dirty rags. It is worthless in light of eternity, in light of what God wants to do in our marriage, in our family, etc. And so I could talk literally about this for days on end now because of what he's done in me and the things that I'm learning and the things that are just coming off the page about how much he has changed in me. But I will say the biggest piece of it is that I am discovering peace in Christ. That peace, real peace, not the fake peace that comes through demanding everybody do it my way.
Do you feel
That
do you feel like he's controlling you?
nope,
Do you feel like I'm controlling you?
nope,
Do you feel like there's critique every single day?
no, 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 there's not.
What is it turned into for us now?
No, it's turned into this really tender, soft relationship of
More touch,
we touch each other all the
more
time.
talk.
And we say more talk, but we
We
don't
don't.
we don't. We have less.
You're right. It's actually less because we're not
Because
arguing
we're
or talking
not.
through it.
We're able to just get to it. We're like, yeah, we agree. Like,
Yes.
okay, let's go that
Yeah,
direction. And
absolutely.
then boom, we're done. Like there's no other we both agreed this is where we're going and it's easy to get there because that's the standard. Like
Right.
there's no other like doesn't matter how you feel, doesn't matter how I feel. This is just what it is. And we're
Yeah.
gonna go there and we're gonna go there together. And then man,
Yeah.
we just have fun doing it. We
And
have
not to, prolong this, but just
yeah,
the idea of us talking
yeah,
is part of that monster mentality that was mentioned earlier was
yeah.
the fact that I liked talking for hours and hours.
Oh yeah, I
Now
would
you guys will know
hold
I'm a
that over
communicator and
him.
that I do like to teach and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But there was so many conversations where they would last hours
Mm-hmm.
of us, but it's only because we couldn't get on the same page.
Yeah.
And I, in my thinking, well, if we just keep working it through, she'll come to understand.
Yeah.
And that was just the wrong way of looking at it because I'm trying to force you into just by sitting there talking.
Yeah.
It wasn't my intention, wasn't my
No,
heart.
no.
I was getting tired of the conversations too.
Sure.
It's like,
But
why
you
are we doing this again?
yeah, but you were not okay with it being unresolved.
I was not good with it being
Yeah.
unresolved.
And that was the biggest thing. You were just fighting for us to get to where we're
Yeah.
at now. Like just so we can get to this is the point. Let's go there.
And now that there's peace in this and
Yeah.
we are on the same page,
Yep.
like you're right, because our 30-minute or our 3-hour conversation turns into less than 30 minutes.
Less than, yeah.
You know?
Because we don't have a fight. We're not in a battle against each other. It's always been this battle, and I think that's the overarching thing. Like all of these pieces that we're twisting it and distorting it
Yeah.
is that ultimately we were just set on opposite sides of the fence,
Yeah.
and we were not spiritually yoked. We were not in the same place. You were fighting for truth. I was fighting for selfish whatever capacity, reasons. Like the list is long, but now we're on the other side. I'm on the other side of the fence. We're on the same team. We're linked. Our arms are hooked. We're like, let's run. And you're like, okay, how fast? Like we don't. That's all we're.
Now that we've addressed this,
Yeah.
now that we address the faith and the facts,
Yeah.
how does it feel?
It feels amazing
It does.
when we have the facts are ahead of our feelings.
Yeah.
When we're leading, our faith is the ultimate. We're willing to deal in facts, not fighting each other. That all of the emotions and the feelings and everything come along because we can see how it's all connected. We see,
That's the fruit.
yeah, that's
of
the
the
fruit,
Spirit.
the fruit of the Spirit, walking
it-
all of those things out.
Is that peace is entered
Love,
into our lives.
patience, kindness, goodness,
Yeah.
all of those things are absolutely present because now we're both wanting the Spirit in our life. We're wanting those things. We are able to say, yeah, we're equally yoked now. We can, our kids can see it. They continually tell us how much they see it. They're blessed by it. They're changed by it, and it's 100% because
Yeah. And be sensitive to anybody who is on the same situation as when your spouse does begin to change. Listen to your kids because the kids began to see change in Jess before I did. And the only reason is because I'm at the micro level. They're at the macro level. They're
there's
seeing
a lot more hurt.
they're seeing
there.
things, but they don't know the intricate details of everything else. So they see kind of at a bigger level that they began to see things that made more sense. For me, mine was diluted by the macro of still kept seeing other things happening.
Yeah,
And again, it's not about sin because
it just took time. It just
my
took
walk is not
time.
without blemish.
Yeah.
Hers is not without blemish. But the idea is that the kids begin to see things too.
Mhm.
So I'm just encourage you to listen.
Yeah,
and keep your heart open. I kind of put it like a tennis game during our marriage.
Yeah.
Is there was a point where I put the tennis racket down
Yeah.
because you weren't hitting the ball back to me,
I wasn't hitting the ball back.
and said, "I'm here. I love you. I want to keep playing, but until you pick up the racket and hit it back,
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm going to do anything."
Yeah.
And then when all of a sudden you begin to see the tennis ball flying by you, it's like, okay, what? Something's different. Something's happening.
You know what's interesting? I could have a whole nother analogy based on just that analogy of what I was doing on my side with holding the tennis racket, yelling at you and accusing you of how you were playing the game, and I wasn't even playing. I wasn't even trying. I was just critiquing you, manipulating you, telling you how to do it, and not recognizing that I wasn't playing and that I wasn't a part of the team and I was acting completely out of control and again in chaos. And I keep going back to that of going, I don't know how I can encourage women other than to just tell them my story. Just say, hey, let me tell you what I did wrong. And maybe some of these pieces will make sense to you of, hey, this doesn't work. This thing that you're doing is this. And it's manipulation. This is you choosing yourself. This is narcissistic. This is, I mean, because that's ultimately what it is. I can sit down and go, everything about it was me being a narcissistic brat sitting on the other side, throwing a temper tantrum because you weren't hitting it where I wanted you to hit it.
Yeah.
What? That's not a good team player. That's not a good.
And truth be told, and Jessica knows this, but I had my days where I was more narcissistic. I think that we all can be in that way, and I say that not to the hard extreme side of it, but
No,
I'm just saying, like,
I can say that for myself.
but I would say that, for me, before I came to know Christ at 27, it was all about me. It wasn't about other people. And while the world would say I'm a nice guy and I was a good student, a good this, a good that, the reality is I was so self-consumed that I hurt other people in the way that my wife had hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
It just because God had loved me and saved me out of it. That's why I felt I could never walk away.
Yeah.
Because again,
And I'm very thankful for that.
God was patient with me, and again, it was not because I was free of sin in all these years together.
I know.
This woman right here has seen more sin, and the reality is that's why it's even sweeter, is because to see each other at our very worst,
Yeah.
back and forth,
Yeah.
and yet to still love each other through it, and to still be on this side of it.
Yeah.
Guys, it's 100% possible. But
We say it all the time.
we hope that you've heard it. Heard
Grace upon grace.
Yeah, and we hope that you know where that grace comes from and who it comes from. The idea is that we're going to keep sharing with you guys different things, but I hope you keep hearing that part of it, because we cannot, and I will say that you cannot get to that point without the Lord guiding you and leading you in this process.
It's true.
We'll share some things, but I always got entertainment from the idea of people writing books about faith, because all they're doing is just taking it from
Just taking it from
taking
the
it
word.
God's word.
Let's
So for
be
them to
honest.
put their name on it is kind of funny to me. But at the same time, there are things that we do learn and do understand. We can put it to application, and we hope that some of this you guys can take to application, and
Yeah.
it'll be encouraging to you. So
Yeah. Be encouraged. Thanks for being here. We look forward to seeing you next time.
thanks, guys.
Thanks for joining Tripping Over Grace with Trey and Jess. We hope you've enjoyed today's talk. If so, please subscribe on YouTube or follow us on Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok.